are back with another exciting episode of Rick's Horror Movie Review Show. That's Rick's Rated R Horror Movie Review Show, where we review all things related to horror. Horror movies, horror TV shows, horror documentaries, horror primetime specials, horror video games, horror primetime specials from the 1990s featuring Barbara Walters and Hugh Downs. Because we absolutely love that shit. But if I'm honest with you, there's a very special type of horror that I really, really enjoy. And that's horror that deals with the Catholic Church and demonic possession. Why? I don't know. I just fucking like that. I also like zombie movies, though. Zombie movies are fun. But I don't like zombies that run. Those are too scary. I kind of like the zombies that just kind of crawl and just want to eat your brains. Those are my favorite ones. Witches, of course. Aliens are a tough subject. I don't know about that one. But maybe we'll review an alien movie soon. Anyway, welcome back to our show. And this is our second episode of the year. And it's a special one because we have a guest tonight. Wow. We are the Mess Podcast. Steve Geezy. Is it Geezy or is it Jeezy? Steve, how are you?
How you doing, Rick? I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad to break down this movie with you today, my friend.
I appreciate that. Hey, listen, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for reaching out. This is my first time doing this, so
awesome, man.
Congratulations to me.
I will want to shout you out because, like I said, I think you end up following my show first and stuff, and so I try to, show follows me and stuff. I try to dabble, see what they're into, and you got some good stuff, man. So, props. Seen your work, listened to some episodes and stuff like that. Killing it, man. Love it.
The feeling is mutual. I have also listened to your shows. You guys are, you're definitely all kinds of crazy topics. It's really funny, interesting stuff. It seems like you tackle everything. I mean, you do a lot of sports. You do a lot of, social commentary. You get into social issues. Like you were just talking about Jeffrey Epstein not too long ago. So you do everything yourself.
Whatever's going on in the world, we try to talk about it. There are obviously, subjects we stay off of just for the fact that the news that's going around, we try to make more light of it than anything. Obviously, we already know there's more bigger things going on in the world that are pretty bad, but we stay off those. We want to keep it fun. We want to keep it, everybody laughing and stuff like that. We'll cover sports, trending topics, just out of control things that all happens around the world. And we are the Mess. That's the podcast that we do with my co-host, Big JR. The title in itself is an explanation of what we are, is because we'll get all these stories. We're scrambled all over the place, and we jump from this to that, and it's a mess. So
yeah, you guys are like really interesting shit going on all the time. But I want to start off with asking you, I guess, a question. I ask myself this question all the time. Why a podcast? Why did you decide to do a podcast?
Honestly, I think about that too sometimes. Is like why? Because there's so many other things that when it comes to like networking, social media, stuff like that, like why did I pick this? And it honestly happened with me and my co-host. Me and him, we game all the time. We're around each other all the time, and people have to listen to the bullshit that we say together and stuff. We will be, and it mainly came up from gaming. We'll be playing video games like Call of Duty or something like that. Intense battle going on. Everybody's calling out, making these comms and stuff like that. Meanwhile, me and Junior are arguing of how to properly roast a pig on a skewer. And we're just arguing about that while everybody's flipping out like, we need covering fire. You don't shove it through his ass and out the mouth. You got to fucking just like, it's all over the place, man. So because of that, like, my wife, she games with us a lot. The things that we argue about, we won't even pay attention to the game, but we're playing it at the same time. And she's the one that kind of brought it up. Like, you guys should start a podcast and, have your arguments so everybody else can hear these. And at the time, I was like, nah, you know what I mean? Because just because you're funny with your friends and stuff doesn't mean you're funny all the time. You know what I mean? What we find funny, we didn't think it was. So
sure.
I kind of pressed it off. And actually, Junior was the one who kind of was like, let's give it a shot. Let's try it. So we did it. We tried it. And I absolutely loved it, man. It was fun. The connection we get with people and the comments and stuff like that, the engagement and all that stuff, it's been super cool and fun. So I've actually taken off with it and, plan to keep going with it and seeing how far it goes from there. But I mean, honestly, starting the podcast just came, like I said, just from people hearing the bullshit that we say and our different opinions. Because me and him are like best friends,
Yeah.
but we're total opposites in opinions when it comes to just anything. I don't even know how we're friends, honestly. He believes in the most stupid shit in the world, so I don't know.
That's really, you're absolutely right. Like, I mean, just from listening, like the one right off the top of my head right now, we should have talked about this before. Now you're on the hot seat. No, I'm kidding. You said something, and then Vic Jr. is like, oh, bro, your testosterone's low. Oh, I think you were like, oh, I'm tired all the time. And Vic Jr. is like, bro, your testosterone's low. Like, and I mean, it's just all the time, all this kind of crazy stuff, and your reaction to that is just hilarious. Like, what? My testosterone? And by the way, this is all on the air. You could, yeah.
It blows my mind. This man tries to be a doctor.
Yeah.
It's just like immediately, like, oh, this is what, and he claims to be a medical expert because he has helped me one time on an injury on the field that we work in.
Yeah.
And ever since then, he just thinks he's fucking Dr. Junior and shit. He knows everything about it, and like. He's so full of shit, man. I can't fucking.
I don't know. I mean, he was certain. I was convinced your testosterone was low. I was like, yeah, absolutely. That sounds right to me.
Of anything, only because he keeps the straightest face when he tells you stuff, and you don't know what the fuck to believe. But I'll tell you what, don't trust a man who wants to fucking pump his arms full of steroids for no absolute reason at all.
Which, by the way, is another one of the things that you talk about in your show. We Are the Mess podcast. You have another one of the episodes where you're like, there's a clip of you saying, well, it's not a clip. It's obviously it's a whole full show. But in one of these episodes, you talk about his steroid addiction. What's that about? Tell us more.
This guy. Man,
and by the way, they can listen to this, but just a little glimpse of what you guys were talking about.
Yeah. So he hits me up. Because he's a, I would say, gym head. He don't go to the gym. He has like his own little setup at home.
Yeah.
He's a gym head. He works out all the time, but he's one of those guys that just wants to just continuously just get ripped, get buff and stuff like that. I don't go to the gym. I'm not dedicated to it. I'm not whatever. You know what I mean? I go to work 10, 12 hours a day. I come home. I'm good. Hits me up. All right, so I'm going to try this new thing. We're going to be trying steroids. And at first of all, I'm like, what do you mean we?
We're going to be trying steroids.
Well, what do you mean we? Well, I thought we could try it together. No, I don't want to try steroids with you together. They're all fine. I forgot what fucking Russian company he got them from. But I'm like, dude, you're not going to. Why don't you just try it? And I wouldn't. So we argued about that. And so he ended up doing it himself. And he tried it. And instantly, I think he had the worst pain in his leg that he thought he was going to have it get amputated. And I said, serves you right, you fuckface. So he doesn't, I would say it's an addiction, but he has an addiction to just, he's just, like I said, a gym head. He wants to constantly get ripped. He wants to get fucking jacked. And the only way you're going to do that is if, just keep working out. You don't have to fucking pump yourself full of steroids, especially from another country. What is that?
We talked about why you started the podcast, but what have you found the most challenging aspect of your podcast is so far?
Scheduling. Just making sure that, we can stay loyal to the podcast scheduling, because I had a guest on not too long ago. His name was Kyle J. Vigil. He hosts another podcast himself, 49er related and stuff like that. And he was actually telling me, what episode are we doing? And I was like, oh, you're going to be episode 21. And he congratulated me on there. He said, not a lot of podcasts make it to that point because people, the scheduling, they're not happy with the results and stuff like that. And I'm just like, if you really like doing this, keep doing it. Just keep going. You're not going to get the results you want right away. You're not going to get, you're not going to blow up. Nobody's Joe Rogan right off the bat, man. You got to stay loyal to the content.
Joe Rogan wasn't Joe Rogan right off the bat.
Yeah, exactly. And just you got to stay loyal to the content, stay loyal to the schedule, just stay committed to keep pumping it out. Even if your views are so low for, I would even say months, even give it an honest couple years, you know what I mean? To really go out there, because there's an audience for everything. You just got to find it.
Agree. Absolutely.
Audience for everything. You can make a podcast about crocheting, and if you find the right fucks that like doing that shit, you're going to have yourself an off-the-wall podcast. So,
we'll find it. They will find you.
For us, like I said, it's just scheduling. that's the hardest part about it, is just making sure, because Junior's constantly out of town, out of state for work and stuff like that. So we try to do our best, and we have, I would say, done our best to stay loyal and committed to the content for weekly episodes, bonus episodes, and such. But I would say that's the biggest thing about the podcast when it comes to difficulties of it. Other than that, man, I love it. I love the stuff we do, and the engagement with the people that we that that we connect with and stuff. That people who like the show even give us their own opinions on that. Like, yo, Junior's a fucking idiot for saying that, or I think you're wrong. But I was just like, we love that shit. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what podcasting about. You throw out your own opinion on things, you get it back and see how people react to it and stuff like that. And it's cool. I've never been on a platform of this such before, so I'm really riding with it, and like I said, I have no indications of really stopping. I love to go for it. So
That's awesome. Yeah, helpful advice for all the 4 people that listen to me. Thank you so much for that. I guarantee 4 listens from this for your show. So, anyway, so you mentioned something Big Junior being out of town. So, give me your ideal, or I guess your dream 5 guests for when Big Junior is out of town. Who would those be?
like celebrity,
Anybody. It could be, I don't know, whatever.
right off the bat, man, Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah.
Fuck, I love Gordon Ramsay. Me and my wife will watch Kitchen Nightmares, Hell's Kitchen, and we've watched all the episodes to the point now where we'll just watch the collabs where he just goes in people's kitchens and just fucking tears them apart and just goes off on people. We love that, man. We'll eat dinner to that. It's
fun. He's fun. Yeah, absolutely, totally.
Man, and I think it'd be kind of awesome to get him on a show and just kind of pick his brain of like just things that we've never seen happen that he had to cut and stuff like that and everything. Gordon Ramsay definitely an ideal guest for that. And honestly, if I had to pick another, it's honestly just randoms. You never know who you're gonna meet. You know what I mean? When the past guests that I have had though has just been like family members and stuff like that.
Yeah.
My wife started a show once. Like I said, I finally collabed with another podcast on my show, and that was pretty cool. And I got to know him some more and stuff. And we still connect and still plan on doing more episodes together. But I find it more interesting to just have just like the randomest people on there if I can get the most randomest people on there, because like I said, you never know who you're gonna meet, whose opinion is different or something. And that's what our show is based off of. Is based off on like opposite opinions. Like I said, with me and Junior, we are total opposites when it comes to things, and I feel like that's what makes the show is 2 different opinions colliding for one. And I would say that would be kind of like my ideal. But celebrity wise, I gotta go Gordon Ramsay, man. That is the man. Or one more celebrity, Chris Hansen.
Chris Hansen. Chris Hansen from the what is it? To Catch a Predator?
Oh man, I've seen those videos so many times, and I just can't stop watching them. I love them, man. The shock factor, everything is awesome.
Does he have a show on? Is he podcasting now? Like I don't know what happened out there that NBC.
And his podcast is one of his favorite catchphrases is "Take a seat with Chris Hansen." And then he did do another show called Takedown, which is To Catch a Predator, just a different name. And it's so funny because in the Takedown show, because Chris Hansen's so famous for what he did or what he does, everybody that he catches, as soon as they catch him, he's like, fuck, I already know who you are, dude. Fuck. Chris Hansen's the man. He started that big genre and what he's actually inspired is YouTube vigilante type people to kind of come on and do. If you YouTube this stuff, you'll see people doing this all over the place. And it's awesome. Favorite one I want to shout out is Dads Against Predators, because they go above and beyond what Chris Hansen do. They will invite these people to public places and then just call them out in the public place, and they start running out of or speed walking out of the mall or wherever they're at, and they have crowds walking with them, and it's justice served. It's good. They're not on YouTube anymore. Guidelines are too strict or whatever.
Okay, yeah, I figured.
Those guys were good. They were good catchers and stuff. And like I said, they did get physical with a couple people sometimes just because they got their hands put on them first.
Yeah.
Most of the time, all they're doing is exposing. You know what I mean? It's just all about the exposure and stuff like that. So I'm
That
really into stuff. I'm really into stuff like that.
That's cool. Hey, why not? So if you're out there listening and you're interested in being a co-host, a special guest on We Are the Mess podcast, what's your Instagram, or the kids like to say, the TikToks, or all your social media? You got that stuff, right?
So yeah, the Instagram, We Are the Mess podcast, at Instagram. We're more active there. We have recently started a TikTok, but we're not pushing for the social following on that.
Yeah.
It's more to kind of just get the clips out there, help promote it and stuff like that, because TikTok is another one of those sensitive sites where you could lose your account instantly. So with the shit we say, we don't expect to have it long, but you know what I mean? It's out there. But basically the only social we got is We Are the Mess podcast at Instagram. We're mainly in audio. We're on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Pandora. But we're mainly an audio podcast so far. We haven't dabbled into the video. This is actually my first video.
Whoa! Congratulations! No, I'm kidding. No. Well, hey, people get to see you now.
Yeah.
All 4 people, as I mentioned, all 4. I guarantee 4 views, so that's a guarantee. And none of them are mine in different devices, by the way. 4 actual human beings that are not me will watch this. So.
Hey, maybe we'll break a record, man.
Maybe 5. You know what? I want to go back to the things that you discuss on We Are the Mess podcast. I already mentioned the steroid stuff, but there's also interesting things. Again, you touch everything. You do movie rants. One of the things that I found really funny was the spicy chip talk. Why? I don't know. It just seems like such a... why didn't somebody talk about the spicy chip stuff before? Or these conversations that you have with Big Junior, just... I don't know. They're hilarious to me personally. What is your favorite thing to talk about on your show, if you have that?
So honestly, we've been asked this before, and my favorite kind of topic.
Never. I just came up with this question. How can somebody? How?
My favorite kind of things to talk about, honestly, is like the personal stories, stuff that we kind of went through and stuff like that. I just recently had an episode where I told a story about in my younger days how I got drunk at a bar and tried to join a biker gang.
Nice.
And then there was another one where Junior told a story about one of his travels where he got played by a bunch of strippers that he thought were
yes.
I feel like those are just like, you know what I mean? Nobody knows about them. They're not news related.
Right.
So when we kind of dabble into like the things that happen to us and stuff, those are my favorite topics and stuff. The news, the trends, and me and Junior going bickering back and forth on anything going outside is just like a plus. Like our biggest controversial topic, I would say, that is entertainment related. This man has not watched Breaking Bad at all, and he will refuse to watch Breaking Bad because he says it's too much hype.
Too much hype.
And I keep telling him the hype, it's not hyped enough as much as it's hyped. So if I could ever unwatch a show and rewatch it for that shock factor, it'd be Breaking Bad.
That's insane. You know what though? I gotta say this. I have a confession to make now. No. I've seen Breaking Bad. I have a confession about a show that people say the exact same thing, but I've never seen Game of Thrones.
Oh. I'm there with you.
Have you seen that?
So, when it was super hyped, I would say close to the end of its go.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, "Get on Game of Thrones."
Exactly.
So I was like, "All right, I'll get on it."
Yeah.
I think I got through 3 seasons, but man, like medieval lore type things and stuff, it's just not my thing. Cartel shows like Breaking Bad, Narcos, what was another one that was Ozarks and stuff?
Oh, that's a good one too. Oh, that one finishes soon, I think, last season.
I love crime-based shows where it's like, you know how like they got NYPD or the other crime cop shows, or
CSI, whatever.
Where it's from the criminal side. Like Ozarks he's laundering money. Breaking Bad, he's cooking meth. Narcos, the cartel stuff that happened out there with Pablo Escobar and all that stuff. I love shows like that. And especially, like I said, when I say crime related from the criminal, another one, not cartel related, but Dexter. I don't know if you've seen that one.
No.
You ever seen Dexter? So he's a serial killer that kills serial killers.
Oh, Dexter. Yeah. I mean, I have seen some of the seasons, not all of them. And they just did a new season not too long ago, right?
Seen that one yet, just because it came out of left field for me. I just haven't had the chance to check it out. But that one was good, and the most recent show that we watched that was kind of crazy that we into is the Yellow Jackets. I don't know if you
Mm.
Lord of the Flies, but
Yep. Yep,
same
definitely.
concept. That one, people is eating people.
Oh,
So,
yeah. That happens enough. That sounds horrific. Hey, I had another question for you.
yep.
You listen to the show, so you know that around here, I am not a fan of slashers. I don't know why. I don't like them, but I have a question for you. Do you like slashers?
I dabble in slashers.
Yeah.
It's not my go-to.
Yeah.
I'll watch.
You'll watch them.
I will tell you this though. My wife and her sister,
Yeah.
hardcore slasher fans.
Really?
Favorite movie is Scream. They love Scream.
Awful.
They-
Tolerate awful.
They're one of those that like, if they don't know what to watch, they'll put Scream on.
Really?
Yeah,
Uh,
Halloween, Michael Myers one, stuff like that. For me, it's like I said, it's not my go-to, but I will watch slashers. There are some that I kind of enjoy. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say they're all bad. There was a horror movie that came out that was not really slasher related, but it involved people killing people, called The Strangers.
hmm.
Now that one was good because it had a sense of like it just gave you the real sense of like horror of being stalked by somebody and stuff like that. And that one was when it kind of sets the tone for a movie of stuff like that. I mean, that's awesome to me. That's why I enjoy it. If you're a slasher movie, you got to set the tone and make me really feel like I'm being stalked or watched or something like that. So those are my go-to kind of slasher type things. But like I said, they watch Scream and Halloween and stuff like crazy. I'll watch it too. That's
You watch it by association. Okay, whatever. You tolerate it, and it's not like here where I absolutely, I don't know. But anyway,
hate it. You hate it all around. You just can't stand it, huh?
I really can't. I just find them to be so like, oh my god, you're gonna be dumb again. It's like, oh Jesus, really.
Well, a lot of slasher movies, like I mean, the kill scenes are pretty much every other kill scene in other slashes. Somebody's being chased, they fall, or they make the wrong turn, and
I
that's it.
and I can't stand it. I mean, and it's funny because I think those are the things that people are really drawn to. Those things like the slasher elements. I did an episode on all that shit, but like not knowing who the killer is, like the one character who's just I don't know smarter than the rest of the characters, or I don't know. I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. I have another question. Last question on this subject, but actually no, a couple more. What are your 5 worst? People I'm talking about, wow, these are my 5 best horror films. But what are your 5 worst that you've seen that you've wasted hours of your life watching?
Let me pull this up for you because I did make my list. I'm going to start at number 5, and this is more recent. And this was got me into your show.
Okay.
Nights at Freddy's.
Oh,
Terrible, man.
yeah.
You know what? When you gave your breakdowns of that, what you liked and disliked,
Yeah.
about the same. The effects of it were cool. That movie had a lot of potential to really, because you said you didn't play the games, right? You don't know the lore.
I played briefly.
I know the lore a little bit because I used to watch one of my favorite streamers play that game, so I kind of was forced the lore onto me and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Man, that movie was fucking trash. And you know what? It made records.
It
And
did.
you know what? It only made that money because of the name of the movie. The brand itself sold,
Hey.
and it was terrible. It was so bad. Oh god, it was just fucking terrible. And like I said, it had potential. The effects that they used and stuff like that in that movie, it had the potential to really be rated R and give the audience what they wanted. They wanted animatronics.
Yes.
We saw what? A chick's shadow get bit in half. God, that was free on Peacock.
Yeah.
All right, so number 4, the Cloverfield Paradox.
Ooh, the Cloverfield Paradox.
So I like Cloverfield, the first found footage one.
Yeah.
I like the second one, 10 Cloverfield Lane, just because that one was like a kind of eerie feeling of what's happening with kind of people while this is going on over here.
Yeah.
Cloverfield Paradox was just a fucking Matrix, just everything
Look at
everywhere,
this. How
man.
are you animated? I love it.
Yes, it's that one was just like it just made me think too much, and I was just like, just show me a giant fucking monster, please. That's why you have Cloverfield, man. Just show me a fucking monster, man. They didn't do it, so yeah.
That's
Cloverfield
funny.
Paradox #4. Number 3, maybe a little controversial, but I'm actually gonna go through my when we did our Halloween special, I gave my top 3 worst movies, so here's the top
Right.
3 coming from that. It Chapter 2. And I know you had Pennywise on the show one time, so I
Yeah,
hope you
yeah.
don't
You know
call.
what? I'm gonna. Hopefully he doesn't call in, but hopefully.
So, It Chapter 2, the acting, everything, awesome, phenomenal. Bill Hader, all that shit.
Oh, you're
The
talking about
movie,
the new ones.
yes, the new ones.
Gotcha. You feel the same
Uh,
way about the old one? Did you ever watch the old one?
Almost a classic. It's
Ah,
the reason why
fascinating.
it still stands out to me, even though when I watch it now, very low budget,
Totally.
very
It's a TV
yeah.
movie.
I saw it as a kid,
Yeah.
and it will always hold that terror to me as a
Gotcha.
kid because that's why it still stands. But It Chapter 2, the the whole movie like affects everything so good. What kills this movie for me is at the end where they bully this fucking clown, and that's it. That's all they had to do. All they had to do was just throw this guy in a fucking gaming lobby of Call of Duty, and the movie would have been over. He'd have been dead because there's so much shit being said on that. As soon as you put your headphones onto that,
It's
it's that movie. I
the
just would have. I mean, I get Stephen King wrote it in a certain way, but like you gotta have something else different. You can't just call them names and that was it. You know what I mean? Same as
yeah.
fucking.
Yeah. I can see you now, like the anger you were experiencing as that was happening on screen.
Oh man, like it was good, and then once it happened, it was one of those scenes where it's just like you just sat in a theater, just like, no, there's a secret ending coming soon. He still that was just fake or something. Like no, nothing happened.
Dang.
Number 2,
Yeah.
you might agree with this one. Halloween.
Ugh.
Now, not saying all Halloween. The most recent ones that came out,
Yeah.
Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. So this is where I was telling you I have an example of when you say you're making a movie and your character is supposed to be a certain character, follow that script. You know what I mean? Don't
Yeah.
go outside the box. Michael Myers is a human being, right? He's a slasher. He's a killer. Um, so yeah, we're supposed to. Okay, so that's who he is. That's what's happening. This guy took on an entire town one on one and beat the entire town. He even got shot in that fight, and he still lived. And then the next one, Halloween Ends. Now we're talking about possessions. Isn't he a normal fucking dude? So then they just go in crazy, man. They start adding all
They're
this
not
magic.
following their own logic. They're throwing too much at you, huh?
Yes, I was just like, I can't. I will say the first one that they came out, the remade 2018 one, where it's just Halloween.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that one.
People
That one
really
was
like that one, right? That's the
that
Rob
one.
Zombie one.
No, it's just Halloween. It's supposed to. All other Halloweens don't exist. This remade one that happened in 2018 it was basically part 1 to part 2 of Halloween Kills, and then part 3 Halloween Ends,
Ooh.
where he escapes the mental hospital and stuff like that. That was good, and it's set up for Halloween Kills. Because at the end of that one, you think, okay, they're going to make another one, and like I said, it was really good. I enjoyed the first remake, reboot, whatever it was. Um, I enjoyed it a lot, but in that first one, but the second one, they just went crazy, man. Now all of a sudden he's got superpowers, super strength, taking bullets. He's fighting like in the town's just staring at everybody, watching him take them on one by one. Thousands of people are not going to just jump him and swarm him and tear him apart like ants would. You know what I mean? Like,
Mikey. Oh, you can't stop him. It's Mikey.
I get it. It's a movie. No,
He's
you
the.
lost.
You know what's funny? He's the star, and people are drawn to that kind of shit. Like they want him to be successful, and it's like they probably people who like those movies probably love that shit. I don't know. Sorry.
It was just too far fetched for me,
Yeah.
man. Number 1.
All right, number 1. All right.
Kind of hard for me to pronounce, but it's a place in New York called Poughkeepsie Tapes.
Ooh.
The reason why this is my number one is because this one was so bad, it actually made me mad. It was bad. It made me mad that it tricked me into watching this piece of shit movie. It, the trailer for it is intense. I don't know if you've seen it or heard of it.
No.
Google or YouTube Poughkeepsie tapes. I might be saying that wrong. Poughkeepsie tapes. And tell me this trailer doesn't like blow your mind. Holy shit, this is
Okay.
a crazy movie. It says it was like banned in certain countries and this and that and blah blah. And it's essentially a movie that kind of tries to be like a documentary in a sense of
Yeah.
this killer, and they find his tapes of all his killings,
Yeah.
and they play the torturous clips and stuff like that. That movie was the biggest piece of shit that I've
Wait.
ever seen.
Wait, say that
And
name again? Say the name of the movie again?
Poughkeepsie tapes.
Mm.
It's a real place called Poughkeepsie, New York. It's in the East Coast.
Gotcha.
But I was so angry that I got tricked into watching that. That trailer was such clickbait, and I remember telling, because I seen it on TikTok. I seen it came up as like underrated movies to watch, and it came up. And I told my wife, I was like, "We gotta watch this. This thing looks fucking crazy." And the trailer gave her so much anxiety that she was like, "I can't watch that. You gotta go in first and let me know if it's watchable." So I was like, "All right." And I watched this thing by myself. Oh my god, man! It was fucking dog shit. It was so bad. It was so bad. The killing scenes are terrible. The acting is fucking atrocious. It's like they made two separate things. They made the shitty movie and an awesome trailer. It's fucking terrible.
Dude.
That movie, garbage. My number one worst movie, Poughkeepsie tapes.
Wow, look at that. Top 5 worst movies with We Are the Mess. Steve Jeezy with We Are the Mess podcast. Top 5 worst movies you've seen. Okay, so I want to ask you one last thing. So if I am one of the 4 people that listens to the show and I want to listen to your show, which episode should I start with?
Honestly, for new people that come into the show, I would honestly recommend just listening to the most recent episode.
The recent
If
one.
you like it, listen to the next most recent episode. If you like it, listen to the next most recent episode. If you really like the show at that point, start at number 1. Because obviously, us being at episode number 1, we still got first day jitters. We're still kind of new to things. And if you like the show at that point, it's more funny listening to us kind of like, just trying to get shit.
The growing pains.
Yeah, our first podcast episode, it's our first podcast episode. It would be exactly how you expect people new to the scene would be. But for new people, I would say start at the most recent. If you like it, just keep diving deeper. And then once you like us enough, the first episode will be funny enough to like listen to these jackasses, man. That's the best thing I can say about it. I always try to push, because our obviously first episodes have the most views because that's where people want to start at.
Right.
And I really feel like we're in our prime right now. We're locked into what we are and what we're about and what we want to get out there. Our first episode is more, we're just starting out baby steps, man. So yeah.
Last one. Okay, cool. So tell me again your handle, Instagram. Where do I find you?
We are The Mess Podcast. You can catch us on there, and there we have a link to all your streaming platforms, wherever you guys listen to, whatever. I'm pretty sure we got them all covered. If we don't, I've never heard of it. So Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, stuff like that.
You're everywhere.
We're everywhere.
You're everywhere.
No YouTube yet, TikTok, but I'm only posting clips on there. Like I said, not heavily pushing the social following on TikTok. If you want to follow, you can. And there's nothing saying you can't. But like I said, we're more active on Instagram. You want to follow the show, listen to us, we recommend following us on Instagram.
Cool. And reach out to you there if you want to be a special guest host or special guest appearance on your show as well, right?
What was that? One more time?
If anybody you have big juniors out of town, sometimes reach out to you on your Instagram if they ever want.
Audio cut out a little bit, but yeah, Junior does take a lot of trips and stuff like that, which is, like I said, the hardest part of making this podcast, scheduling thing. But yeah, like I told you, one of my ideal guests would be just random people. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Whoever wants to be on, be on. You know what I mean? It's what helps the show. It's what helps you. This is a good platform to kind of do things and actually say what you think about things. So I'm all for hearing it, even if you're wrong. fuck it, I'm still here to listen to you. So
All right, well there you go. If you are one of the, I don't know, listen, just follow my logic here. Don't pay attention to the math. If you are one of the 15 people, or the one of the 4 people that listen to us in 15 countries, reach out to Steve Jeezy and We Are the Mess podcast if you want to be a special guest contributor to his podcast. Cool, man. All right. Start with the last episode and move your way down. All right, dude, how about we get into the old movie review portion of this episode? What do you think? You ready to go?
let's fucking dive into this one.
Welcome to Rick's Rated R Movie Reviews. Okay, so when we reached out, I reached out to you. Actually, this happened before we agreed to have a collaboration here. But you sent me a movie recommendation. Why did you recommend that movie to me?
Because you asked for it, Rick.
I did ask for it. Hey.
At the top of my head, I was thinking, like, what could I, because you being a horror movie aficionado, I feel like you've seen it all. So I kind of was like, I wonder if you've seen the Crazies. Reached out to you about it, and apparently you haven't. And this movie never crossed your platform or anything?
It wasn't even on my radar. You know what the thing is like, that is one of the movies. I really enjoyed that movie. I saw a shitload of movies last year. That is one of the ones that I really enjoyed. I enjoy stuff that is logical and that follows, even if it's not like logical in reality, which this one is. I read a lot about. I liked the movie, and then I went back and I actually researched it, and they did a lot of. I mean, they had scientific consultants. They did a movie the way that I enjoy a movie, which it's rational, but they also follow their own movie logic. I think, if I remember correctly, I don't think there was anything in that I'm like, hey, what's this shit? That is, it just causes so much anger in me. It's like, follow your own fucking movie logic, please. Don't violate your own laws. I just hate that. I did not feel about that. I didn't feel that way about this movie. It was a zombie movie in a different way. You told me that at the beginning. You told me it wasn't necessarily a brain person eating zombie. I enjoyed it.
It's a take on zombies, but it's not the eating people kind of zombies. It's a different take on them, which, like I said, it stands out to me. My go-to movies are zombie movies. Big zombie movie fan. So for this to kind of just be a different take on zombies, I was all for it. That's why it kind of stands out to me as something, like I said, different than what you would review when it comes to a zombie movie.
Yeah, and it's funny. You would send me the message. You're like, I know you don't like slashers, or it's like, I love that. I'm like, this guy knows. He's listened to the show. He's recommended something that, first and foremost, thank you for recommending something, but then actually taking the time to listen and not recommend me something that I'm going to hate, So thanks for that.
You get messages like that, people just telling you, like, do Scream 3, or something.
Okay, so I was, funny we talking about this, but I was not going to do Five Nights at Freddy's, but one of the 4 listeners in those 15 countries wanted me to do Five Nights at Freddy's, and I was like, okay, well, I bought tickets actually to see it in the theater, and then I realized it was on Peacock, and I was like, okay, I'll just watch it on Peacock. It's great. But yeah.
I hope you got the money back.
Oh God, I wanted to cancel my membership to Peacock that minute, but I am also a huge Star Trek fan, so I have to have my Star Trek. So that's the only reason why I didn't cancel Peacock. So Star Trek, more Star Trek, Peacock.
More Star Trek.
Okay, so the next thing is, obviously we already talked about this. This is a zombie horror film, so we don't have to answer that movie. But give me yours. Around here, if you're a listener of the show, we have a scale called The Scary. Give me your 1 to 10 on this movie. How many scares would you give this movie?
1 to 10, give it an 8, because it follows the script of a quarantined town.
Ooh, 8 scaries.
What can happen in an instant without anybody knowing, your town getting whole, taken over, quarantine, and not knowing what's going on. It stuck to that script, so it really sets the tone and stays with the tone of that. So that's why I give it a high number for sticking with its storyline.
The real life horror scenario that I feel like we all experienced, right? It's been 40 years since COVID, but I still remember the not having toilet paper and how quickly civilization just went into chaos,
Different time that was, man. And it's just like, it's so far behind us now that it's like, it's almost hard to remember how it was. And even when that was all going on, it was even hard to remember how normal it was at that time. And yeah, I mean, that's a good example of like, quarantine. I mean, without there was chaos in the stores, like you said, but like, it really set a tone. I mean, there were people out there that really thought crazy more shit was going to happen and stuff like that. So I'm sure there's people panicking, just like there was people panicking in this movie.
Yeah, not one of them, by the way. I did not panic at all. I did not hoard toilet paper or do any of those crazy things. Not at all.
Did you catch COVID at all?
No. I mean, I got it. I mean, not during like the height. Eventually, I did. I think it was it last year? It was last year, actually. Yeah.
I caught it twice. I didn't
really?
think I was going to catch it. I knew I was going to catch it once, and I thought that was going to be it. But I actually caught it again, which was, like I said, when I talked about committing to the schedule of the show and stuff like that. We actually missed 1 week so far, and that's because I caught COVID. So.
Yeah, rough. Did you get like the worst of the symptoms, or how was
actually,
it?
The second time I caught it, I didn't know I had it.
Oh, really?
Nothing, no fever, no nothing, but my test kept saying positive.
Oh, shit, yeah.
So I had to stay at home, watch movies, play video games all day. So the entire time, I didn't feel anything.
Yeah.
The first time I caught it, terrible. Because I don't get sick.
Yeah.
I have a pretty good immune system, but I had the worst sore throat. It was like swallowing glass. And the second time I caught it, whatever. It should just be, if you catch it now, just treat it like a cold. Just fucking put a jacket on, go outside, and fucking you'll be fine.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely is different 4 years later, but yeah, it was crazy. All right, what about another one of the things that I like to tell people whether or not a movie has is a jump scare. Was the jump scare overused in this film, in your opinion?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give the jump scare a 4.
A 4 on the scale.
Because it didn't have too many jump scares, but the ones that it did set up for, I feel like were pretty predictable. You're silly if you don't know what's about to happen is going to happen. So the jump scare, I mean, they're fine, they're good, but they're predictable.
Do you enjoy them, by the way? Do you like do you like the old jump scare?
I don't.
Yeah.
I won't even go to like haunted houses and Halloween.
In that sense, you don't like it as like, you don't enjoy it.
Just don't enjoy people. Like, even then, like I said, they're predictable. Obviously, you go pay money to go in a haunted house.
Yeah.
For me, it's just people just constantly jumping in my face. I just can't stand it. So, yeah, I'm not a big jump scare fan. But in movies, I'm fine with jump scares.
Yeah.
But this one, it's such a low score for me because they're predictable jump scares. So it's nothing I feel like won't catch you off guard.
Yeah.
So,
cool. Yeah.
Who don't jump scares can handle it.
I feel, I don't recall there being that many things. Okay, tell me now about the things that you liked about this film, Steve.
So obviously, like I did mention, what I love about this film is that it really sets the tone of what could go wrong and what happens when it goes wrong.
Yeah.
You could just living in a normal society kind of town, everything going happy and jolly, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're in a military caravan getting put who knows where with your family.
Separated potentially too, right?
Yeah, it's stuck to the script. It's stuck to what it wanted you to think and believe. Also, and even for like an older movie like that too, I don't know if you know this, you probably do, but that movie is actually a remake of the Crazies in 1973, which was directed by George Romero at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched, before I actually watched the movie again, I actually YouTubed the trailer for the older one.
Yeah.
Ooh, it was terrible. Just the acting back then, the trailers back then too were just bad. I feel like they weren't the trailer just seemed like all over the place and stuff, and it didn't show like the nice effects that this movie had. Obviously, it's a more higher time in the date. We have better technology, better effects and stuff. That. So, I mean, obviously, that's why it stands out to me. For these up-and-coming actors at the time, Timothy, what's his name? Olyphant, whatever.
Timothy Olyphant.
Olyphant, yeah. So he's a pretty well-known man.
He was Justified at the time too when this movie came out. He was in Justified.
Good show too, by the way.
Yeah, great show.
That's good. But yeah, he was up and coming, and his acting's good. I mean, it seems like a movie, like I said, because you haven't heard about it too much. It seems like maybe a movie that may have been like not very well production wise or whatever. Right. The director of it, I forget his name. It's like Brick or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Very successful in his other like directing things. So This one, I like this movie, and what I like about it is just for the fact, like I said, it's all about tone for me. It's all about setting what the movie wants itself to make it to the audience, and that's why it stands out to me like that. It really sets the tone of what could happen in a quarantine type of situation. And the acting for it was good, the effects were good, the craziness of the craziness. Not zombies, but a different take.
Yeah.
Man, like I said, different take on things is we're all for that. I'm all
Agree,
for that.
especially on this show. Give me something different. I don't want the same recycled baloney that I'm sorry. You like the same shit all the time. That's fine. I don't like that shit. Give me something different. Cool.
Yep,
Anything you didn't like or didn't enjoy, and maybe grinded your gears.
So when it comes to movies, like I said, I watch movies and I watch them and expect like it's a movie. Sorry, I'm trying to get the words out of it because I'm a mess. I don't know this shit.
Mm-hmm.
You understand it's a movie. You realize things are far fetched. You put that in your head and just go whatever. But I still find times where I'm just like there's certain scenes that I'm just like, there's no fucking way, man. I guess I'm just more of a realistic guy that when I see something kind of not realistic,
Yeah.
it kind of grinds my gears. The scene where the man goes crazy and lights his house on fire with the family. Rick, a door is not keeping me locked in a closet, especially a wooden door. I'd kick that fucking thing in. It's coming off the hinges, but they were just jiggling the handle. And that just kind of grinds my gears with movies.
Yeah.
Like, kick the fucking
right,
door.
Right. Thank you.
You live in a barn, like out in the country. Your house ain't made of fucking stucco or titanium or anything.
What?
Door open.
Yeah.
Just little things like that throughout the movie and stuff. But, I see things and I'm just kind of like, damn it. But
I agree. I completely agree with that. Like, that is, to me, that's part of the stuff that I call illogical. Like, that is not following, like, that is way too outside the normal realm of, circumstances that would happen in real life for me to, like, drink that Kool-Aid.
I don't let it take away from the movie.
Oh, look at you. You don't. You forgive it.
I do, because like I said, as long as, the script is being followed to the tone of it and all that, I can follow it.
Yeah.
I realize it's Hollywood. They have to add stupid shit in there.
Oh, my goodness.
You know what I mean? A lot of movies wouldn't even exist. The killer would be dead instantly for being shot by the cops or something like that. So
yeah.
You have to intake stuff like that. For me, things I don't like about movies is those little intakes, but I don't let them ruin the movie, especially if the movie is going good.
Yeah.
I really have to add some far-fetched shit.
You dock points, like at the end, if you give it a movie a rating, you're like, oh, I'm docking a point for that, but let's move on. You just completely forget it, or you don't hold a grudge against it. Like, it's not in the back of your head.
I said, it's got to be really out of pocket for me to hold a grudge. Like Halloween, when the whole town took them on, it lost me right there, and the fucking score for that just fucking deep on me. For me, I could not forgive that. That was just way too much. So this one, it does it, but it is forgiving, I would say.
Okay, cool. Obviously, we talked at length about it. Is this film entertaining?
It's very entertaining.
Very entertaining. I agree with you. Absolutely. Now, the most important thing here is, like, do you endorse this film for the 4 people listening to the show?
I do recommend this film. It's like we keep saying, it's a new take on zombies.
Yeah.
You don't want the same zombie, right?
No.
Kind of doing other movies and stuff like that. You want a good zombie flick or whatever, put on your go-to, but you want something different. You want to see something that's kind of not what you're used to when you see zombie type things. Watch the Crazies.
Watch the Crazies, indeed. I love this film. 2010, I think it came out. A remake of the 1973 film, like you already said. Steve Jeezy, your rating, sir. What do you give this movie?
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. Wow. Amazing. That's definitely one you don't want.
The reason why it jumps that high for me is because, like I said, I am a sucker for zombie movies.
Yeah.
Love them. So if there's a good one, it don't get no lower than 8. It can only go from 8 and above.
Really? Even if it's terrible?
No, if it's terrible, if it's far-fetched in the sense, then it's got, but like if you're a zombie movie, you stick to your zombie script of things like that. I feel like, okay, you make a zombie movie. Don't make a movie where it's just people hiding most of the time and you see a zombie every day. you gotta have them fight zombies. You gotta have people getting eaten. You gotta have splatter, blood, all that shit, all up into a movie to just really, that's what it is. That's what it's about. People don't want to see people hiding from zombies the entire time.
Yeah. I have a
Number
question.
one zombie movie is Dawn of the Dead, that the remake of 2004.
That's a great movie. Actually,
Love that one.
I feel like that is one of the first movies, the first horror movie, not the first one, but one of the first ones I really enjoyed in terms of horror. Like I wasn't always like super into horror, but I think that's one of those because it was so good.
Yeah, so they're sheltered in a mall, but there's still plenty of like zombie footage of them running from zombies, fighting zombies, people getting eaten, enough blood, enough effects, enough killing, enough fighting, and the sequence of them actually hiding and talking, it all fits into one, and that was the perfect kind of zombie movie for me.
Yep.
So.
Yep, agreed. Let me ask you one last question about this. In your scale, do you take points away or do you add points as you see things you like? Like an example, does it start at a 10 and you're like, I'm docking a point? Or it's like, oh, everything starts at a 0 and then you start adding points as you like stuff?
So I've come to learn that I gotta, like when it comes to zombie movies, I gotta start them off at 1. I have to now. Before, I've always jumped them up to 10, and if it seemed like, shit was getting out of hand, then it would start being docked. But I have learned to start at 1, and the Crazies is one of those where it's just like new take on zombies. The tone is set right. The scary's there. These people killing people is there, and this and that. So it starts climbing and stuff like that. I learned my lesson because, as I've been a broken record on your show saying that I love zombie movies, one of my biggest franchises is Resident Evil.
Ooh.
They make so many movies to that, and the ones that they made with I forget her name. She's
Mila Jovovich.
There you go. Those were fine because they were kind of set aside from the games.
Yeah.
But there's been some people that directed like movies about that were supposed to be like about the game. The most recent one called Welcome to Raccoon City. I should have put that on my list, but it's an honorable mention. But it is the biggest piece of shit.
Really?
It's like, and it's a zombie movie.
Yeah.
It was terrible. It was far-fetched zombies, and they were just trying to make them way too much than what it actually was. But they didn't tell you that right off the bat. If you're a Resident Evil fan, you go into knowing what the zombies are, and they didn't make it like that.
Are you? You sound like you played the games.
Yes, very much. I've played the game so many times.
Goes without saying.
Yeah, it goes without saying that and you know what? I think I was so hard on them just because of how much I really like that franchise.
Oh, that's interesting because you haven't touched upon the Five Nights at Freddy's stuff. I feel like people who are fans of that one are really defensive about me saying that I didn't like it or that it sucked. You're hard on it because you're a fan.
You know what?
I mean, of the Resident Evil stuff. It's the opposite for you.
I'm a big fan of it, but the movies that they're trying to make that are actually storyline game related, fucking terrible, man. And the people who are defending Five Nights at Freddy's, why? What? How it
feels like this is what they wanted. They wanted their property to be made into something, and they don't care that it's not good, really, essentially.
The guy kept going back to the fucking place. You know what I mean? Like, what about this? Like, that's what the game is about. The guy does go back, but you're making a fucking movie, man. It's like, make it make sense why he keeps going back. Hey, I almost fucking died last night to these fucking animatronics, but I got a shift later to go back. It's gonna be fucking crazy. That movie sucked. Right? It's like, effects. Like I said, me and you, Rick, that's all we can do is give it props for the effects. It had good effects. The animatronics looked
agree, 100%.
But man, whoever is defending that, get at me. I need to know what you fucking saw in that movie.
Steve Jeezy at We Are the Mets podcast. If you're that listener, it's one of those 4 listeners in those 15 countries that watched and loved Five Nights at Freddy's and hated this review that I did about it, go talk to him about it. I think he's rougher on it than I was. I found some things I like too. I like the song.
You were pretty good on it.
Yeah.
That episode I was like, Rick, this movie's a piece of shit. Let it have it. Just fucking get it.
I was like, I also understand, like, people love what they love, right? I'm here like argue about, whether or not you like zombies or you don't like zombies. Hey, you fucking like that movie? Great. I didn't think it was that great, like it did not, I will say this, it did not appeal to me. And I feel like that's fine. If you like your fucking Five Nights at Freddy's, that's cool too.
I get that in a sense, but like at the same time, I'm just like, if you like Five Nights at Freddy's, you gotta explain to me why.
Well, it's Freddy.
There's times where you have to explain your opinion. You gotta
Yeah.
tell me why did you like this fucking piece of shit?
I
Was
don't.
it was it the not enough killing? Was it the rated PG version? Was it the fact that they sang songs? Like I don't know what else you thought of that movie to make it good. And horror. It was not a horror movie. And like I
Was it?
said, the biggest killing scene in there was some girl getting bit in half, but all you saw was her shadow.
Yeah, yeah. I maybe it was like we're gonna be those people. This movie sucks. No, but like I feel like maybe it's PG-13 because there's like a lot of little kids that played that game. Like I know my nephews played that game, but they didn't like it either. Actually,
I mean, if that was the way the movie was supposed to be made,
yeah,
set the tone for that. Then let this be known that like your kids can see this shit.
right.
They did not. They did not advertise it that way. So.
No.
Because there was talks that there was going to be a rated R version too, so I was like, man, they must cut a lot of shit out for this thing to be fucking crazy. I dozed off in this movie.
Yeah.
I could not stand it. It was fucking bad. And like I said, people would, well, it broke records, and this it broke records because of the name. It broke records because of the branding.
People watched it. We saw it.
Yeah, it's a very popular thing.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason why it made money is because of the name.
I have a very important question. I want to move on and a completely off tangent here. And I told you I want to stick as close as I possibly can, but also leave some room for going on tangents. But do you like the Saw movies? Do you think they're like the greatest thing in the history of mankind?
I did.
Oh, well, that's been a great show, Steve. Thank you so much for being.
For me, it got too much though.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, it did. It just got to the point where it was like, when the fuck are we gonna end this?
Never. People keep watching them.
I love the first one. I love the second one. The third one, I was like, okay, he's about to die. And then when they kept coming out, I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So I do like Saw to an extent, but when you start getting out of control with it, like the Fast and the Furious, I mean, you gotta stop at some point. You gotta let your movie just die. The story has to end at some point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I fell off the Saw movie. I haven't seen anything past the third one.
Oh, great.
I think I dabbled a little bit to the fourth.
Yeah.
There was another. I think I watched like the seventh one a little bit, but too much, man. Like the story 1, 2, and 3 was enough. After he died in the third one, I was like, cool.
That's it.
Got it over.
Yeah.
Then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and now they're rebooting it again by a new one coming out. Saw X is supposed to be none of them existed except for one so far. So it's like,
oh boy, X came out last year already.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be a alternate timeline. So it's not following the script. It goes part 1, part 2, X. It's going like that. So
it's in between. Yeah, it's between one of them. You know what? Like, are you gonna watch it? It's been a year probably. No, it came out on Halloween or something. Fuck it, I'm gonna spoil it for you. It happens between 1 and 2, and he figures out that there's some treatment happening in Mexico, and he goes down there, but it's a scam. It's not actually true. The shit that I hated about this movie is they make it seem. By the way, he's already killed people. Oh wait, no, he's not. He hasn't killed anybody. He has already placed people in situations where they either maim themselves or do something horrific to themselves, or they die. Yeah. And they make it out to seem like he's like, oh, this guy's going to get a cure. He's like an okay guy. He's only telling people that they need to do things to appreciate their life, and like painting him in this light and under this picture. And I don't like that shit. Like, the dude's a fucking crazy person putting people in traps and machines and shit.
Yeah. There's no logic to somebody saying, you know what, I think this guy needs to be judged in a certain way. Let me put him through a thing of mechanics or something
and
like
that's exactly what it is. And somehow I'm like, how am I supposed to feel bad for this guy that has, cancer? It's like, dude, people choose to live their lives the way they choose to live their lives. Who the fuck are you to judge them,
That's exactly his premise, too. And he basically plays the judge,
Yes, I mean? He's a total judge, jury, and executioner. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. All right, you know what? Let's not drag this out. I want to get some context, a little bit of context on going back to the Crazies, because this is about the Crazies anyway. But the virus that they actually all contract is this. Actually, this is what we like. We talked about this at length. Like it follows the real logic. And I'm gonna butcher this pronunciation, Rhabdovirate prototype, and that refers to the typical or most representative virus of the Rhabdovirate family. And this type of family viruses is known for containing the rabies, which is obviously something we've all heard about. And it's often considered the prototype or a classic example of this group of viruses. So, long story short, without more context into this, it's based on some, virus that could actually happen, which is something I like. This shit. This is what I like. It's not some weird shit that doesn't exist that all of a sudden is killing people.
Yeah.
I like this. And that's what I really enjoyed about this film. Okay, so I want to ask you. About the illogical. We touched upon it before, but was there anything that stood out that's like way too illogical for you to forgive? You said the door earlier. Anything else? Whether people are stuck in the fire and it's like, that is just not logical.
I mean, there are certain parts and stuff like that, like when the military shows up.
Yeah.
And the sheriff dude, and he's like, the wife's like kind of, I don't know what it's with people who, when they see something, they just stare.
Yeah.
But they don't tell them, like, I'd shake him, like, what the fuck? Talk to me. What's going on? He says, oh my God. And he, like, looks and he's like, what? And she's just like, somebody's outside. So he goes out there and he's looking and it's like quiet. He's looking through the barn, but then all of a sudden he's snatched up by the military people. All of a sudden there's a fucking school bus out there just like, what?
Seriously, right?
My son, when he goes to school, we live in, like, the city area and stuff like that. You can hear the bus coming from a fucking mile away.
These are the big old buses, too. They're not little ones.
Yeah, like, nobody heard that fucking thing pulling up. Nobody heard Army RVs pulling up and stuff like that. They must have been hybrids or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's how they got them. And then, but it's, like, funny. As soon as they get snatched up and put in the buses, all of a sudden they're making their bus noises. Fucking going off, man. There's the little things like that. That's just one of those scenes too, just like the door scene, man.
The door scene, yeah.
See or hear a bus coming in your open country area. They live out in the cuts.
They do.
They live in a neighborhood, you know what I mean? You
Yeah.
see shit coming from people live in the cuts. They have a big roadway and everything. Somebody's coming from a mile away.
For sure.
So that's one of them.
Anything else in terms of illogical that you can think of, or you think those two? I mean, you don't have to, I'm forcing. Give me more. I need more content.
I feel like as we break it down and stuff like that, it'll start coming to me. I do remember watching this a lot and just like laughing and stuff like that. Keep it in mind though,
Cool.
I still enjoy this movie. I know I make fun of the parts and just throw my hands up like, what the fuck? But
yeah.
It's forgiving enough. They're at least trying to make a movie. They're not going outside its boundaries of like making it seem like they had silencers on their buses and stuff. They gotta make a movie. I get it. So.
Totally, and they did a good job. I mean, you gave it an 8. That's like forgivable. I feel like you're very forgiving in terms of your ratings, and how much you're willing to forgive in movies, especially if it's a zombie movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we get to the point of the show where we will dramatize a scene. Now, we've never done this before. Obviously, I come in here and I do script-accurate dramatizations, word by word, exactly as it happened in the movie. We're going to do that today. And there are 3 scenes here, and we agreed upon who would be who earlier, just so we wouldn't be here. No, you be the sheriff. No, you be the sheriff. We don't need that shit. You're going to be the sheriff. And we're going to do 3 scenes. All 3 of these scenes include the sheriff. And then there are other characters in these scenes. Now, in these scenes, one of them, the first one we'll do happens... it happens at probably the open shot. I think it's the opening shot of the movie. The second one happens somewhere in the middle. And by the way, this movie is 14 years old. If you haven't seen this movie, I'm sorry. It's completely spoiled. And by the way, you should know that this is spoilerful territory by now. The second scene we'll do takes place somewhere towards the middle of the movie where people are still trying to figure out what the hell's going on, and that's what we'll play in that scene. And the last one, it's near the end of the movie, and a hero rises, like, I'm gonna... Guys, you go on ahead. I can't do this anymore. Thank you. That kind of shit. So that's the last scene. So... let's do the first scene, and I'll set this up for you, Steve, and you'll be the sheriff, and I'll be a character by the name of Rory. And was it Rory's family who got tied up in the fire? It was Rory's family, right?
No. had the remember his family caught the virus later in the movie.
Ah, that's right. It's not Rory. Somebody didn't watch the movie.
And the scene too, when he gets gunned down, and the family is like mad at the cop.
That's right. They hunt him down.
Has nobody told this family that his fucking father went out there with a shotgun at a baseball game? Nobody's telling them that? They think he just gunned him down.
They were there.
Yeah, she said something about like, so you just get your medal for killing the town drunk or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, it's just Rory again with the shotgun. It's just Rory with the shotgun again.
He's telling his family that he showed up to this ball game with a fucking shotgun.
And by the way, like imagine that anywhere. I'll see you walking. I want to see you walk into what the hell is your baseball stadium called now? It's not called Pac Bell Park now. What the hell? AT&T Park maybe? I don't know.
For the Giants, I believe it's 18. I'm not a big baseball fan.
The Raiders, they're not even. Sorry, you're wearing a Raiders hat, but they play in Vegas now. But imagine you walk into the old Coliseum and with a shotgun. It's like, yeah, right. You walking in there with anything, and it's like.
I don't even think anybody's going to talk to you the way the sheriff talked to him. He gets fucking brought down quick. So.
Rory, the sheriff's like, Rory, come on. Well, anyway, what's one of the scenes we're going to play out? All right, so let me set the scene up. The sheriff, scene number 1, the sheriff arrives at a baseball game from finishing his shift or whatever the hell he was doing before this. And the pitchers are pitching and the batters are batting as they tend to do in baseball. You say you're not a baseball fan, but that's what happens at baseball game. From center field, a person who turns out to be Rory, carrying a shotgun, starts walking onto the field. The sheriff and Rory chat, and the sheriff says,
"Oh, great! Here comes Rory again." He doesn't have his Rory.
Let me tell you something, sheriff.
That's not your baseball bat. Go back home, Rory.
Oh, this hit me my baseball bat, all right. I hit some home runs on your ass.
Rory, if that's your baseball, that's not even how you're supposed to be holding it.
What? Well, I got the wrong arrow looking at it. Oh. Beautiful. Wow, you say you've never done improv before? Oh, my goodness. You just set me right off. That was a home run.
Exactly what I thought, though, when that scene came in. Just like, he was known as the town drunk, so it's just like, oh, great, here he comes out here. He's thinking he's bringing his baseball bat to the fucking ball. Rory, go back home.
I love it. All right, well, that was good. That was really good. Congratulations. You got the job. No, I'm kidding. All right, scene number 2. Later in this story, while the sheriff, his wife, and other people are hiding from soldiers who are taking people to quarantine zones, they capture one of these shoulders. They capture one of these soldiers, and the sheriff says, and I'm the soldier that's captured.
If you don't let us fucking go right now, I'm gonna fucking puke on you. We're infected right now.
Ha! What? Who are you? Huh?
I'm gonna puke.
I can't breathe. Stop.
You go out there right now and you tell your fucking friends that there's nobody over here right now. Take your stupid little fucking mask and go.
Oh, well, okay. Look, listen. You let me go, and I'll just pretend like I was being choked by the cows. All right, just let me go, and I'll just say it was a cow or something. I was gonna milk a cow, and then its udder got caught around my neck. I swear, I won't say it was you. I swear.
You go out there, you say one fucking thing about us being over here. I'm shooting your fucking dick.
Listen. Let's not go into some crazy hasty conditions. I need my dick, so I will just say, listen. Do you want me to say it was the cow's udder, or maybe it was the chicken that wrapped itself around my head? I was trying to steal one of its eggs. Listen. I will not say. Who are you? I'm just talking to the chicken.
Take your stupid fucking mask and go. Go.
All right, good job.
Another scene I feel like I felt when I was watching that.
And that's exactly how it happened in the movie, by the way. Yeah. They threatened that.
He basically tells more intensely, like, my wife's pregnant, this and that, blah, blah, blah. You fucking say anything, dude. We're watching you. We'll take you out right after they take us out. So.
Absolutely. Okay, last scene here. It's nighttime, and Russell, who happens to be a deputy, by the way, Danny and Judy reach an army checkpoint. Russell knows he's sick, and he gives himself up and sacrifices himself so that Judy and Danny's being the sheriff, can escape. Russell approaches the members of the army. You're the members of the army, by the way. Sorry, I said you were the sheriff. You're the members of the army. He doesn't know what to say, what's happening, but he reaches the checkpoint, and the army tells him,
"You need to stop running at us, flaring your arms out, sir. You need to stop right now."
What we can do about it, huh? You ain't gonna shoot me, are you? Hey, look at this. Huh?
This ain't Halloween. You're not taking us all down. We got guns. This is what's gonna happen.
What are we gonna do? You're just gonna shoot me with one of those tranquilizer darts? I'm fine. Look at me over here. Hey, don't look over there. Over here.
Sir, if you come, there's a quarantine going on right now. If you come to us right now, we're gonna need you down.
What? I can't hear you from all the way over there. You said something. Keep flailing my arms around. Look at me over here. Over here.
Boo-hoo!
Oh, fuck. And that's the end. Hey, he did his job. He did his job. He distracted the army with the flailing arms.
Another scene, man. Like, that's what another scene that blew my mind is. That's the way he approaches the soldiers.
That's exactly what he did. By the way, again, script accurate dramatization of the movie. This is exactly how it happened in the movie. You know, he had the rabbit virus already, so he didn't know. He didn't have complete control of his arms at that point. Don't ask me. I didn't write the movie. I also don't tell people how to act. Okay, Steve. Jeezy. Your interpretation of the ending, because I feel like we have an ending that could be interpreted in many different ways. But how do you interpret the ending?
I took it is they finally get out, they drop the nuke on the place, they cleanse it, and they're walking, and it ends with that overhead drone shot.
Yeah.
As you go into another town, and the corner says initiate containment protocol. So my take on that is, what I'm getting from it is, are they walking into another town that already has the infection that's about to be contained again? So they're basically walking into the next fucking mess. That's what I got from it. That because I don't like I haven't seen this movie in a while. So when we talked about reviewing and stuff and me watching it over again and that scene came, I didn't remember the ending happening like that. But that's what I'm taking from it is that they are walking. They've made it to another town that is about to be quarantine like their town was. I don't know if you got the same gist of it from that.
I feel like that, the plot was, I think it was an airborne virus, right? It wasn't like in the water. I think they kept thinking it was in a water supply, but it was airborne, right? Mm-hmm. Did I get that right? So
I think they were blaming water just for that plane crashing and stuff like that. So.
At that point, like there was nothing they could do. Like it spread too quickly. It was airborne. It wasn't the only airplane, and it was a biological weapon. And I actually think it was planned. I didn't think that it was like an accident. I think it was like they were testing it on a small town where like nobody would care what happened, and they'll just blame it on some bullshit disaster. Actually, wasn't the news saying? Do you remember there was a news clip?
Yeah, so that was like a post-credit scene, but for me, it was a news clip, but there's no sound. You just see like an anchorman talking, and at the bottom it talks about an explosion that happened.
Exactly. They're just covering up what happened, right?
Nothing infected related, nothing quarantine related, just an explosion happened, and obviously, cover up. They're going to say infection is spread worldwide panic, so that's basically what I got from the ending. It's the virus is airborne. It made it to the next city. They're walking right into the next one. So
let's go with that. That sounds good enough to me. And unfortunately for them, they're just walking into another nuke zone. So, by the way, actually, before we end this tonight, the way they survive in that truck. I mean, I know those trucks are like, come on.
Around.
Dude, this is just ridiculous. If you have not seen The Crazies, please go watch that. Your rating again, because we give this rating twice around here. What do you give this?
8 out of 10.
Still with an 8 out of 10. My God.
Like I said, it's got that bullshit kind of scenes and stuff, like far-fetched things, but it's forgiving enough to not really take away from the actual tone of the story that it's trying to tell. So, good new take on zombies. 8 out of 10 for me.
8 out of 10 from We Are the Meth Podcast. Oh my goodness, they're gonna go to We Are the Meth Podcast. METH.
We Are the Meth.
Steve, thank you so much for being here. Tell us again about your podcast. Where can we find it? How can we reach out to you if we want to be a guest on your show?
So yeah, jump on in, guys, to the podcast that me and my co-host Big JR we got going on. We are the Mess Podcast. You can find us on Instagram. The links to all the socials are there. And what I just talked about with Rick, where we kind of break down and review bullshit and stuff like that, we do that the same, not just horror movies, but everything, whatever's going on in the news. We do talk movies though too. You know what I mean? We talk a lot about the Marvel movies, DC movies, video games, trending news stories. We just talked about the Epstein list coming out and talking about who we thought making our bets on who we thought was in there. We talk sports. We talk it all. I feel like there's really nothing left that we don't talk about besides the most serious things going on in the world. Where, like I said, at the end of the day, we're just trying to make light and make people laugh with the news. And me and Junior's opinions on things are so opposite that it'll have you all guessing too, which side you're on. So,
the dynamic works.
Podcast, Instagram, follow us, man.
Yeah, when do you release episodes?
So it's football season. So we can watch football and stuff on the weekends. We try to record on Wednesdays, but episodes are up Thursday morning. And then once football's over, we will be switching back to recording Sundays and episodes coming up Mondays. But as of now, Thursday weekly episodes, depending on the month too. We have specials sometimes. So if it's a holiday of some sort coming up, have a holiday
Christmas special.
Yep, related to the holiday. We did a Christmas, we did a Halloween, we did a New Year's. Yeah, and so that's those would basically be like bonus episodes too. So
cool. All right.
So you guys are lucky.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for blessing us with your presence, and thank you for the movie recommendation. It's been fun. Any last words?
No, Rick, I had a good time. This was for me breaking down like a certain specific movie and stuff. This was my go-to thing. Very much enjoyed doing this show, man. Very sad I didn't get to meet Billy, but
oh yeah, he's a little camera shy, and unfortunately, is he around now? He told me he was going to shut his servers off while you were on, so he just gets out like that sometimes. He's like a relatively new AI. He just became conscious not too long ago, and he's still trying to figure out his human emotions. He's been gaining a lot of human emotions as the show has gone on. He's learned a lot from me, to be honest with you. I don't know what he would be without me. But maybe next time.
Yeah, next time.
All right, well, that's going to be it for this episode of Rick's Horror Movie Review Show. Rick's Rated R Horror Movie Review Show, where we review all things related to horror. And we'll catch you again next time. And please don't forget, all 4 of you in those 15 countries, to go listen to We Are the Mess, not We Are the Meth, We Are the Mess podcast. Anywhere that you can find podcasts, like, podcast.com. I'm sure that exists. But anyway, thank you so much for listening to this one, and we'll catch you again next time on another exciting episode of Rick's Horror Movie Review Show.
Adios, people.
Oh! I like to let it play to the end because I like this song. Should I stop now? I can't.
But you gotta stop muting.
I usually have more things to say, but I kind of ended it early. Whatever.
Is that your